Which high school friend took a path you didn't expect? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will sleep in a trailer. Probably the smartest guy in class, but never actually paid attention or did his homework. Was always sleeping in class or doing his own thing or goofing off. Recently sold his startup for 8 figures and is now back to goofing off. Hey Redditor, if you think you're this guy, chances are you're not. Pay attention in class. Damn, good for him. High school meth dealer and local lunchroom pot. Cigarette vendor ended up being roommates senior year. 2 months after graduation they both joined the Las Vegas PD. Switch team YRN, capital Y. The teams have been auto-balanced. One dude who was always a dong to me, but hung out with our friend group got expelled in high school for having legit chilled pin on his phone. He moved cities and I didn't hear from him for years. Turns out he murdered an elderly gay man and is in jail now. One super shy quiet dude is now doing time for blackmailing girls and posting their nudes. Average guy at school. Dead through alcoholism by his mid-20s. It was apparently asphyxiation that got him. The ODs and suicides are always more surprising than the success stories. It really is crazy how people who seemed so normal can privately go so very far off the rails. I used to date someone who hid his alcoholism from me. Many work hard to hide and are full aware that it's a problem. There were 2 that really stand out. One of them was the girl who got in a fair amount of trouble. She skipped school, had a bad attitude and was more interested in hanging out with friends than learning. She ended up becoming a lawyer and eventually became the assistant DA of a city with about 3 million people. The other was a nice guy, got along with most everyone. I even considered him a friend and hung out with him on occasion. He came from a great family and while he didn't get the best grades, he was good at things like fixing cars, so I assumed he would end up going into that field. Instead, he started a career in drinking. By the time he was 30 he had been in jail several times, in a rehab a couple of times, had been arrested numerous times, had 2 restraining orders on him from former girlfriends, and had burned so many bridges with his family they had given up on him. Now in his mid-40s, he still lives in that same town. He looks like he is in his 60s, is on disability, and likely doesn't have much of a future as he continues to drink himself away. Booze is a hell of a drug. My best friend since I was 5 years old, smartest person I ever knew. She went off to college and got into heroin. She is now serving a life sentence for first-degree murder. She was the mastermind and the getaway driver of a burglary gone wrong. Her accomplices broke into a guy's home they were acquainted with, tied him up and beat the shit out of him. He died of a heart attack sometime during the ransacking of his home or directly thereafter. This is heartbreaking. I know we all make our own choices and all, but frick if it isn't terrible to see how drug addiction can change an otherwise good person. Well, she did get a degree. Not a friend, but I went to middle and high school with a girl who went into acting. Became a Power Ranger. That's pretty awesome. I had a friend in high school who was high achieving academically. He was in the top classes, very nervous and well behaved in the classroom. Generally he was mostly thought of as quiet and the guy very few people paid any attention to. He's serving 8 years in prison for possession of drugs and child pornography. Holy shoot. A friend of mine is a talented artist with a deep passion for video game design. He worked on projects for indie devs all through high school, and I thought it was certain he would quickly become an artist for some dev studios soon after. He now works as a furniture salesman. I wanted to work on games since high school, and tons of folks were convinced I'd be working in gaming. After hearing the horror stories about the game industry, lack of job security and constant layoffs, I'm happy as a retail stock person while I try to just do gamma dev on the side. I've also come to the realization that I'm the kind of person that if I turn a hobby into a job it'll kill my passion for it. I did some freelance work for an indie game developer as a freshman in art school. I thought I was destined for a glorious future in illustration and design. I did coffee shop art shows for a decade while working in bars, coffee shops, and now tattoo in a low-level seasonal vacation shop and do murals for local businesses. Doesn't sound too off the mark, to be honest. You're still working with lines and shapes and forms and colors. The quiet, kinda nerdy guy in the back of my AP Calculus class is now the CEO of Playboy Thailand. I kinda wonder what he was doing in the back of your AP Calc class to become the CEO of Playboy Thailand. Differentiating himself. You don't wonder. You know. It's obvious he was doing calculus. Had a friend that was the weirdest guy I'd met. He'd often yell random stuff for no reason, do every kind of accent, and was just generally awkward around people. Saw him a few years after and he was dressed to the nines, very clean cut, and socially well adjusted. Complete 180 from high school. Made me rethink all my life's choices up until that point, since I was not doing so hot in life. I can't tell you how this transition can happen, as I was sort of that kid. More of a computer nerd, but I wore t-shirts with witty stupid sayings on them or computer company logos. Did this all through college, wondering why few girls were interested in me. Graduated, got a job, moved away. Decided I'd distinguish myself a bit by being the guy who wore Hawaiian shirts all the time. Started learning some manners and social graces. Decided Hawaiian all the time was overkill. Started wearing short sleeve button downs with funky patterns. Met my future wife. Started dating. Going on dates, decided short sleeve shirts were too informal. Drifted toward long sleeve. Over time we got involved with art deco groups and vintage clothing. She really got into it. I have to keep up if we're going out. Started wearing nice jackets and eventually full suits. Now my closet is full of vintage suits and I've started drifting back to more interesting, but stylish jackets if I'm not wearing suits. My 18-year-old self would have no idea what to think of this. Decided Hawaiian all the time was overkill. You're a freaking sellout. Do you guys have Ace Ventura as your patron saint? Cheerleader who took a heck of a turn. She was an impressive drinker in high school. She kept it up through college. Got a job, didn't love it. She joined AA. Met a guy. Older. Had nice finances. Estranged from his ex-wife. Kids, no other family. They got married. A few months later, they are both drinking again. Within 2 years, he's dead. He left her everything. She is devastated. She goes back to AA. Met another guy. Apparently older men who are estranged from their families are super easy to find in AA. You got it. They're drinking. Next thing you know, he's dead. Left her everything. Now she's gone back to AA again. She has met the most wonderful man. It's a shame his kids won't speak to him and won't come to the wedding. It's next month. How long you give him before he dies? Elizabeth, the badass party chick. She was the brilliant and quietly rebellious type. She was pulling and getting away with shit that most of the guys branded as troublemakers in school could only dream of, because she had the sense and savvy to not show off to the world. She wasn't doing shit for the attention. She was just doing it because that's what she wanted to do. So smoking, heavy drinking, some drugs, staying out all night, whatever. She could outdo anyone else. Anyway, a little over 10 years later I caught up with her and found out she was a triathlete and overall health nut. I know this person. I know like 5 of these people, haha. Some people just need to get it out of their system and then they're good. When I was 10 I sat next to the sweetest boy in our class. All the other boys I had sat next to in junior school were mild ass hats. I remember I lent him my Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory VHS and he lent me the Muppets Take Manhattan. We went to different high schools when we were 12. I heard that at 16 he had been arrested for armed robbery. I still can't believe it. What the hell happened to that kind and gentle boy between 12 and 16? Life. Sweet kids can get caught up and forced to do shit by the wrong crowd quite easily. Girl in my high school was a terrible human being. Selfish and totally self-absorbed. I couldn't stand her. One of the shallowest, nastiest people I knew. 20 years later she sacrifices her life trying to help save 3 children, unknown to her, from drowning in a rip current at a local beach. 20 years of life after high school is a long time. A lot of really good people were at their worst in high school. A lot of them. I don't know if there was something in the water in our town. A lovely girl in my class had severe anorexia, to the extent she had to repeat the year. She was strikingly pretty, with the face of an angel. Always wondered if she felt self-conscious and grew obsessed about her looks, because it was what people valued. Nobody made the same fuss about her good grades or niceness. She is now morbidly obese, couch surfing and pretty much always wears the same big brown coat and tracksuit pants. Was shocked to see her go from one extreme to the other. Still really nice. Hope it works out for her. Another high achiever in our class is now a traveling musician and nudist. She dropped out of engineering and just travels from festival to festival as a concert goer, dressed as a barefoot rainbow fairy. Self-funds by offering tarot readings, spells, palmistry. Lived by the creek for a while. Has a Pomeranian. Disordered eating can take many forms. Hope she gets help and can find the help she needs to develop a more healthy relationship with food. Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will sleep in a trailer.